Welcome back to another DPS analytic video. This is going to be the second week for Phase 5 of Blackwing Lair. Looking at all percentiles, we'll take a closer look and pay attention to the classes that received some set bonuses this week. The notable ones are going to be the Mage, the Balanced Druid, the Demo Lock, and the Shadow Priest. Those are at least the ones that come to mind that looked into their tier sets and they are receiving a hefty amount of DPS. Just some straight up flat damage increases that are going to make them compete against these other specs. Looking at all percentiles, most of the median DPS is very close within each other. Compared to last phase where we had 4 or 5 specs just dominating the meters, and then we had a jump down to like the middle tier classes, and then another jump down to the lower tiers, and then another jump down to the meme specs and other specs that just don't get played that much. Everything is very close, and I'm very happy to see that with this phase going forward. The only thing that is truly a PvE spec and still not getting any love is the Ellie Shaman, so hopefully their set bonus or something that they receive in this tier will bump them up a little bit to be closer to the Ret Paladin. Just make it close to where all of these are bricked off, and I'd be pretty satisfied with that. Moving on to max percentile, we will see that the Ret Paladin and the Demo Lock have moved up a couple spots. Enhance right behind that, and then the Assassination Rogue as well as the Fire Mage. Not too many jump downs. Obviously, the outlier is going to be the Fury Warrior because of that Ebon Rocket Flame Gore fight we talked about last week. But everything else is very close within this top tier of classes, and then we have a middle tier right here as well. Again, we're looking at max percentile, so this is just one player, credible RNG, most likely having full world buffs, most likely having a fast kill time, probably has a couple set bonuses at this point. It's a good metric to look at to see how well these classes can possibly perform. Looking at 95 percentile, it's going to be a totally different story because we have all those set bonuses unlocking for multiple classes. You got your Demo Lock, your Arcane Mage shooting up, you got the Combat Rogue shooting up there as well. It was Assassination Rogue last week if I recall that correctly. Balanced Druid right behind that is crazy. Enhance right behind that is crazy. Usually Enhance is a little bit higher, usually Ret is a little bit higher. Even Shadow Priest creeping up towards the middle of the DPS meters. Just insane how close everything is this phase. Moving on to fights specifically, we're going to see a totally different story here. The Arcane Mage blasting in terms of 95 percentile. If we are to look at the max percentile though, it's still going to be the Fire Mage just because of that crazy RNG you can get with the Ignites and the Pyroblast procs. And then same thing for the Feral Druid and the Fury Warrior. They just have the absolute top tier in terms of maximizing damage. When that is exposed and that is unveiled, you will just always see these classes at the top. And then same thing for the Enhance and Ret. Same exact thing there. Good RNG, good crits, their set bonuses, full world buffs, fast kill times. These classes just excel at all of that. And even the Assassination Rogue. I would expect the Assassination Rogue to move up probably where this Feral Druid is in the weeks to come, since they excel at these shorter fights. Moving on to Veil, similar story here. The Arcane Mage doesn't provide as much value compared to the Fire Mage when getting that Burning Adrenaline buff, and it's the same thing for these classes going forward. The Ret Onward is going to be pretty much similar going forward in that max percentile. If we look at 95, it's going to be a little bit different. The Arcane Mage creeped up a couple spots, and same for, I thought this was Demo. Same for the Destruction Lock, actually, which is good to see, that Destruction has a place within the raids. It's not just Affliction, it's not just Demo. You can actually have a little bit of flexibility here. But same thing, really. Fire Mage and Onward is really the specs. And then this Ret Paladin probably just doesn't. The reason why you're seeing just such a big jump, I mean, 99, you'll probably see the Ret go up a couple spots, yeah. Ret, Frost, and Onward. This is probably a Ret Paladin that has all of their pieces in set bonuses versus a Ret Paladin that might be missing a couple pieces to unlock that set bonus. Moving on to Broodlord, a fight where most DPS are just neck and neck. It's just not really changed too much. The Shadow Priest is still on top, followed by your Fury Warrior and then Affliction Lock. Pretty much the same thing as we saw last week. Of course, your Balanced Druid is now popping off with their new set bonus. In terms of max percentile, still the same thing as last week, arguably. The Affliction Lock, Shadow Priest, and Fury Warrior taking those top 3 spots. Moving to Firemon, I would hope to see some more melee DPS popping off here. Of course, you get your Melee Hunter actually second place right now in terms of max percentile. Fury Warrior on top, of course. Feral Druid, Assassination Rogue, Fire Mage, Enhance, and Ret all really close within each other. And then you jump down to the next bracket of tiers. Looking at more of an average DPS, the 95 percentile, you have your Arcane Mage and Fire Mage competing for their spots, really neck and neck to each other. Not too much difference. The Melee Hunter took the Fury Warrior spot, but then you have the next jump down, and then a huge jump down for the Ret Paladin compared to what we saw here, where the Ret Paladin is competing for that top 5 spot. Moving on to the Ebon Rock and Flame Gore fight. Just dominated by your Fury Warrior, but they definitely are having a run for their money with the Demo Lock being able to cleave with their set bonus, benefiting a lot of that kit for those 2 target encounters. Their pet is essentially a mini Fury Warrior, and it's really funny to see them just dominating the meters on this. So I'm happy to see something else taking the Fury Warrior spot in this, because if not, it was just going to be the Fury Warrior the entire phase, and it wasn't going to change. Combat Rogue not doing too bad on this fight as well, and then what really surprises me is the Arcane Mage and the Balance Druid being so far up here. Really surprised to see doing this well, even though this fight is mainly dominated by Cleave. I assume that they're just single targeting for the most part. I dug into the logs, and that's pretty much what they were doing, and using a Frozen Orb as well. Balance Druid kind of makes sense with their set bonuses benefiting their Starfall, and their Starfire being much faster, taking off that global cooldown, as well as Moonfire and Insect Swarm, as well as Sunfire being able to just multi-dot both targets. Same thing as the Affliction Lock, being able to multi-dot and do a lot of damage here as well. Really surprising to see that, though. I was not really expecting the Balance Druid to do this well on this fight. Moving on to the Chromag fight, same thing as last week. The Fire Mage and Frost Mage dominating the meters here, followed by the Shadow Priest and the Melee Hunter. Wow. The Melee Hunter has seen a huge jump in DPS compared to last week. I would expect the Balance Druid to be much higher, and same for the Ellie, but not taking a whole lot of benefit from those spell vulnerabilities. Looking at the max percentile, we'll still see the Fire Mage on top, followed by the Destruction Lock, Frost Mage, and then Demo Lock right behind all of that. Pretty much the same story as last week. The Assassination Rogue, Survival Hunter, Feral Druid not too far behind that as well. Very close within each other, but again, these classes benefit just so much from those spell vulnerabilities. It's really hard to beat those specs. And then finally, Nefarian, we're going to have a totally mixture of things here. We got the Feral Druid on top, Melee Hunter, and then the Balance Druid competing for those top tier spots. Absolutely insane to see that. Rat Paladin not too far behind, competing for that top 5 spot in max percentile. And then everything else is very much bricked off. And then the mages are struggling on this fight. Hunter specs are actually struggling outside of the Melee Hunter. And then going down to 95 percentile to get a better average on what we'll see. Arcane Mage just blasting, Balance Druid blasting, Demo Lock competing for those middle spots as well, and then Shadow Priest popping off with those quick bursty rotations. But yeah, Arcane Mage just super simple to play. You got a very quick bursty rotation with double Icy Veins, Arcane Power, being able to Cold Snap and do Icy Veins again like I was just saying. Just crazy to see the difference in rotation and stats for this week. So that's about it for this video. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe for more videos just like this. Comment down below what you thought of the video, and of course, I'll see you in the next one.